When it comes to the economy in America, I believe we need a major paradigm shift. For too long, we've measured America's strength as a nation on our gross national product output. In tandem, our increasingly obsessive pursuit of the American dream has most people on frenetic treadmills, trying for bigger houses, better cars, nicer clothes, at the expense of time with God, time with our kids, time doing community volunteer work. This obsessive pursuit for more has also set up an ultra-competitive, often even cutthroat business climate driven by greed. It has also opened the door at the ever-expanding far end of the continuum for big box retailers, Walmart, Kmart, Home Depot, to push out the small, locally owned businesses. And it is a climate that is driving corporate farming to push out the small family farmers as well. These small, locally owned businesses and small family farms for years were an integral part of the fabric of local community, the fabric of society as a whole. It was the backbone, if you will. What's more, from a consumer end, the almost insatiable appetite for more and ever cheaper products in America and other more developed countries has also led to the outsourcing of American jobs to third world countries and places like China, where sweatshop conditions, child labor, far less than living wage pay, has created a monumental worldwide human rights travesty. And the lack of attention to pollution control with many of the factories in these other countries, so that the product prices can be kept as low as possible, is leading to just as monumental worldwide environmental travesty that includes acid rain, severe respiratory problems, global warming. It is globalization at its worst. And if all this isn't bad enough, the whole thing was built on the back of the Industrial Revolution that has dehumanized many, with, for instance, mind-numbing assembly line jobs as an example, and unplugged just as many from our original and much more life-giving agrarian base. At the same time, this Industrial Revolution as a whole, with its mechanized, fast-paced mass production, has led to an accelerated raping of resources all over the globe, an alarming rate of vanishing species, and again, a tremendous amount of environmental pollution in general. But unlike, say, the Amish, who go through considered prayerful discernment before deciding whether a new technology will adversely affect their family, their community, the environment, most of us in America have seemed to accept the Industrial Revolution and the more recent high-tech information age and all the technology that has come with them without much of a second thought. We have labeled all this as quote-unquote progress. But has it been? Our belief is that most of it hasn't been a good kind of progress, and we would do well to start a sustained trend away from ultra-competitiveness in business, big box retailers, and mega corporate farming, and outsourcing of jobs for cheaper products. At the same time, we should move back toward a slower pace, less competitive business climate, more smaller stores and farms, and instead of outsourcing, much more local production for local consumption. Now, we realize we can't get from here to there overnight. However, we can phase this in over time. What's more, there are people around the country who are on the same philosophical page and have developed excellent models to point America toward this badly needed shift. And in our extensive cross-country travels, we have found them. As a counter to the spirit of ultra-competitiveness in American business, we stopped in Fishers, Indiana, where we learned about a rather refreshing economy of sharing company. The economy of sharing businesses are tied to the ecumenical folklore movement and are starting up all around the world. John Mundell, whose environmental consulting firm is one of these businesses, said the EOS formula is to give 1/3 of the business profit to humanitarian agencies in the third world, to pay employees a living wage while providing working conditions that support human dignity, and If an EOS company knows a competitor is in trouble, they are to try and help. Mundell explained that this can include providing money, lending personnel, offering consultation. At a small general store in tiny Unity, Ohio, an 82-year-old third-generation store owner said to me that Jesus' consistent message in the Bible is to help your neighbor, not put them out of business. He explained the latter is based on the spiritual principle of helping one's neighbor, not turning the screws on one's neighbor, which sadly is what we often do in American business, something that in no way jives with sound spiritual principle. In Alamosa, Colorado, we researched a community-sponsored agriculture project where local residents have bought shares in a small family farm in return for weekly produce and a chance to work on the farm. The initiative is helping keep a small farm buoyant, providing local food for local people, and reconnecting people to the land. These CSAs are starting up across the land. In Fairborn, Ohio, we interviewed a man who goes around the old downtown district every year, there with written pledges to various businesses. He pledges to spend X amount of money at their business during the year, as long as they can stay locally owned. And in Eureka, California, and Yellow Springs, Ohio, we learned about successful dynamics of spirited public fights to keep big box stores out of the periphery of the town, so the integrity of the downtown districts with their small shops was maintained. In Platteville, Wisconsin, population 9,983, we learned about perhaps one of the most creative downtown revitalization projects in the country, spearheaded by the Main Street Program, Inc. Like in the old days, small business owners are moving in above their shops. Main Street is becoming their front yard, Town Council member Bob Metzger told me. Downtown facades have been spruced up, town historic and cultural resources are being promoted, a weekly farmers market is underway. It's getting closer to what it was years ago, said Main Street Program Coordinator Cheryl Zima. It's becoming a community again. And the list goes on and is reflected in a variety of other position papers on our website. But the point is this. The Amish, for instance, stay small, don't buy each other out to create bigger farms, bigger businesses, and regularly help each other out because simply it's the right thing to do. And across the board in America, it should be the same way, we believe. That is, we should move much more towards staying small and local, whether businesses or farms, and make sure everyone has a chance to creatively work at the God-given vocation they've been given. There should be a return of the small family farm en masse. Ultra-competitiveness should be tempered with much more of a sense of social justice sharing. The human dignity of the employee should trump bottom-line profit margins. And ultimately, the quote-unquote American dream should shift from it being about a myopic, fast-paced ascent to get as much as one possibly can for him, herself, but rather the American dream should be about making sure everyone has enough, and not just materially, but enough quality time to be with God, with family, with community.